Now, first of all, I want to say that if you are in the middle of interviewing for jobs or applying to schools and writing your applications, you're doing a great job. Okay. I know that it could be a sluggish process, just sending out applications, writing essays, answering questions, taking standardized tests, whatever you're applying for. I know that it is a long, grueling journey and you're doing great. Part of why I think that this is so important to be memorable in the interview process is because even if we meet the job qualifications or if we have the credentials to earn a spot in a top school, people who are on the hiring side of the process or on a school board, they still want to know, is this person someone that I would want to work with? Is this person someone that I see fitting into the culture of the team that we've built? And part of how we can express that is through a few ways. The first thing is through doing our research. Now, I know that researching a company, it's a very vague idea, but when I look at the interview process, I will go line by line through the job description and try to really understand what is this hiring manager looking for and how can I take part of my life and my work history and directly apply it to what the job description says. I want to challenge you to go line by line and look at each bullet, make an assessment about what they're looking for. But then once you do that, go through all of them holistically and try to develop an overall picture of the kind of person who would be able to juggle these multiple responsibilities at once. And ask yourself, what are the parts of this persona and work history that I have? And what are the parts that might be a question in the mind of the hiring manager? But even going through that process of researching what the hiring manager wants and what is the idea of the perfect person that they might be thinking about in this role, that already gives you another level of understanding of what they're looking for and how you can show them that you're the best person to be in that role. Aside from doing that back-end research, I want to really talk about a question that is important during the interview process. And it's one that every interviewer will ask, which is, tell me about yourself. And I think that this question can throw a lot of people off guard because it's so general and open-ended that we might not know where to start. But to answer, tell me about yourself effectively, I think that it's really important to lead with values. Someone who actually resonates with the mission of the company and resonates with the mission of what this role that you're applying for is looking to fulfill. So say you're applying to a healthcare organization. Lead with why you decided to work in healthcare. Instead of leading with, hey, my name is, this is my title at my current job or my past job, this is my past work history. We'll get to that at some point in the interview because we're going to talk about skills no matter what. But what you have an opportunity to do during this first question of tell me about yourself is what is the value that is leading you to apply to this job? What is it about the company or the role that is aligned with who you are as a person? Because that signals to the interviewer that this person doesn't just want a job. There's an internal motor that is making them feel connected to this role. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that a job is a job and we're people and we need to separate ourselves from our work. But as long as there is at least a small part of you that feels emotionally and psychologically connected to the broader mission of the role that you're applying for, that's important because we need some sort of internal motivator to keep us going. And when we lead with a value, that signals to the interviewer that, okay, this person is qualified, they can do the job, but there's also something a little bit extra that is going to help them propel forward in this role. And that makes me more interested in them. So if you're applying to a role, you could say, hi, my name is name. I have always been invested in healthcare for all populations. When I grew up, I saw people in my neighborhood not getting access to care that they really needed. And that led me to pursuing a role in healthcare where I worked this role, accomplished this, worked this role and accomplished this, which is what led me to exploring your careers page where I found this role where I think I can contribute XYZ. So if you see what I did there, I led with a value. I saw people in my neighborhood not getting the healthcare they need. I want to help fix that. But then I also, towards the end, tied it back to the application and the job that I'm applying for, while also sprinkling in examples of work wins and past work history that I want to highlight up top with the interviewer. So when you do that during the start of an interview, you're already starting off strong because one, you're not just sharing things that are on your resume, but you're also telling the interviewer a little bit about yourself. This is who I am, and this is how I think, and this is what I value. Another tip that I have is to come up with really good questions. Asking good questions is dependent on doing the research that we talked about up front. If you really come prepared with questions by researching the company, researching any latest news trends that they have to get a sense of what their organizational objectives are in the current moment, and also doing the back end of work of maybe hosting one or two informational interviews with people who are already working at the company, that will give you fodder to curate questions that are interesting for the hiring manager and also signal to them that you've done the work, you're interested, you know more about the company than what someone would traditionally find on their webpage. And you already have invested time and energy into getting to know them so that when they do hire you, you can hit the ground running because you're already aware of these other things that are going on within the organization. Don't be afraid to use sites like LinkedIn to reach out to people within your network who might have worked in the organization before to ask questions about where they think the organization is headed so that when you get to the time of your interview, you have this context that is deeper than what is publicly available. So those are my 3 tips to be memorable during the interview. First thing is definitely do your research. You want to be prepared because you want to speak as if you were already part of the company. Second is really knock that tell me about yourself question out of the park. Share something about yourself that isn't already on your resume that lets the interviewer have more of a relational dynamic with you and shows them who you are. And then third is really come up with good questions. Those are my 3 tips. I hope that that was helpful. Until next time, take care, y'all.